You actually don't need to go on a strict diet to heal diabetes. We can see that so many diabetes patients are told to follow this diet, that diet, avoid this food, avoid that food. Yet in the end, they still depend on medication. Some even need higher and higher doses, and still suffer complications of diabetes just like anyone else. So why am I saying today that you don't really need to diet? What does no dieting mean here? Please watch today's video and you'll find out. We all know diabetes is basically when the level of glucose in our blood gets too high. It's a modern metabolic disease, one that lowers our quality of life. What's even more worrying are the complications. One of the most serious is damage to our blood vessels. When blood sugar is high, sugar molecules stick to protein molecules, and over time, this makes our blood vessels blocked, reducing circulation, even causing tissue death. For men, diabetes can cause erectile dysfunction, affecting sexual health and married life. For others, it may cause limb damage, blindness, or complications with the heart and blood vessels such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even strokes. Of course, when we go to the doctor, we'll be prescribed medication, whether pills or injections of insulin, to control blood sugar. But here's something doctors don't always emphasize. The real root of diabetes is not just blood sugar, but insulin resistance. That's the key. Today, I want to share with you, from the perspective of nutrition and eating habits, how we can control and even reverse insulin resistance with a way of eating that isn't overly strict. We don't need to split our meals into many small portions. In fact, that's one of the worst pieces of advice, because every time we split meals, insulin keeps rising again and again, never having a chance to go down. If insulin never goes down, how can insulin resistance ever improve? Okay, let's quickly recap. The real root cause of diabetes is insulin resistance. Insulin resistance happens when we eat sugar for a long time, which makes our blood sugar go up. The pancreas then has to release insulin to push sugar into our cells. But when this process repeats too many times, 5, 10, even 20 or 30 years, our cells are exposed to insulin for too long, and they stop responding properly. That's when insulin resistance develops. Once our cells become resistant, sugar can't enter them anymore. It stays stuck in the blood, leading to high blood sugar levels. That's diabetes. At the same time, the body begins to store fat, especially visceral fat, and blood vessels become stiff and clogged, leading to many other health problems. From my experience, nutrition and eating habits play a huge role in controlling and even reversing insulin resistance. But there are a few things we need to avoid. Don't split your meals into too many small portions. Every time we eat, insulin rises. If we eat many small meals, insulin never really goes down, which makes it harder to treat diabetes. Avoid all sweet-tasting foods. Anything sweet on the tongue, even rice, noodles, should be avoided. Even artificial sweeteners are harmful. The moment sweetness touches the tongue, insulin already goes up. The real root of diabetes isn't just high blood sugar. It's high insulin and insulin resistance. Some people argue that our ancestors ate rice, so why can't we? But actually, if we look back far enough to early human history, our ancestors mostly ate animals they hunted: deer, fish, game, not rice or grains. And even when rice or grains were consumed in later history, they weren't the same as today. Modern rice is milled and stripped of its bran, fiber, and vitamins. What's left is pure white rice, which is basically just glucose. When we eat refined starches like rice, noodles, or bread, glucose rushes into the blood extremely fast, forcing insulin to spike. That's why I, and many top experts in the field of insulin resistance and diabetes, recommend not eating rice, refined starches, or sweet foods while managing the condition. So where should we get our energy? Vegetables. They contain some carbs and natural sugars, along with vitamins and minerals, enough to fuel the body. For example, peppers, cucumbers, leafy greens. This is actually an excellent energy source. When we eat pork, beef, chicken, fish, or eggs, we get both protein and fat. When the body uses fat for energy, it produces something called ketones. These are a steady, safe energy source that doesn't harm the body because insulin doesn't spike. A keto-style diet, where fat is the main source of fuel, works especially well for people with diabetes. The key point I want to emphasize is this: we don't need an extreme or complicated diet. We just need to stick to one simple principle: no sugar and no sweet-tasting foods. Instead of rice, we can eat meat, vegetables, peanuts, and eggs. When we eat this way, we feel full for longer. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, while 1 gram of sugar has only 4. Fat gives stable, long-lasting energy that's healthier for the body. We can even reduce the number of meals per day, for example, from 3 meals down to 2. And in those 2 meals, eat around 50 to 70% of your daily needs, while cutting out starch completely. This way, the pancreas can rest, since it doesn't need to release insulin all the time. Over time, as cells are no longer constantly exposed to insulin, they become more sensitive again, which improves insulin sensitivity. In my opinion, the hardest part is not finding the right foods or diet plan. It's changing our mindset about eating, especially the long-held belief that we must have rice with every meal. Many people, myself included, have lived healthily without rice or bread, relying instead on meat and vegetables, and have greatly improved their diabetes. The hardest part is truly changing the way we think. So in the end, managing diabetes doesn't require something extreme or complicated. It simply comes down to changing how we think about food and making steady, healthy choices each day. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next videos where we'll explore more practical ways to take control of your health. Thank you for watching.